Well, good afternoon and welcome back. If this is not your first time watching me on Facebook Live, I am Ron LeGrand, and for those of you who do not know me, I'm the world's leading expert on buying and selling houses without using your money or credit, and been at it for about 35 years now and have taught hundreds of thousands of people how to do the same all across North America and other countries for that matter. We decided to do a Facebook Live section today, which is going to start with answering questions submitted to us by our students. And then I'm going to go right into actually going over some live deals that they sent to me, and we'll discuss each of them and whether they have merit or not and what we should do with them after we finish with this discussion. So if this is the first time you've tuned in, your first thing to do is to like me. Go press the like button right now. Even if you don't like me anyway. And I'll be here when you get it done. And then I have Deborah behind the camera here. She's going to start asking me the questions. And then I'm going to answer them or make something up.
Exactly.
But, okay. All right. Now we're going to be doing this. We've decided to use Facebook Live. It's a great tool to actually get communications with you instantly, and I think it's the teaching method of the future. To be honest with you, we'll be doing some training sessions for you here in the next coming weeks. So make sure that you always get a message from us about alerting you of the next training. We're going to do questions and answers every single week, so there's always going to be something on here for you on Facebook Live. All right, Deborah.
All right, Ron, you ready?
Yes, first question.
Okay, so our first question is from Ijaz Mirza from New Jersey. If you're a licensed real estate agent buying or leasing from a seller, is CYA document enough, or is there another document we should get signed?
Well, yes. The first CYA means cover your assets, and that's a document that's in my course, and it just makes the seller disclose that everything has been disclosed and they're doing everything of their own free will, and they've gotten financial and legal advice, and they know they're selling their house, and it's a big old long thing. And they initial each paragraph. That's something we created years ago just to make sure we don't have issues later when the seller forgets that they, what they actually did, or somebody convinces them that they have a chance to come back and get some money out of us or whatever. That's a document that's paid off well over the years. But as a real estate agent, yes, you definitely need that. If you have any ongoing relationship with the seller or the buyer, you don't need it if it's an all-cash deal, but you also need to make sure that you have disclosed that you are a licensed real estate agent. And, of course, that's between you and your broker, but there must be something signed that you have disclosed that.
Okay, next is from David Redmond from Iowa.
Hey, David.
I was speaking with Equity Trust and also looked at Quest's website. They are not recommending an LLC. What is your current advice on LLCs? Are they needed, and should I have one?
David, if you're going to buy and sell houses, you're going to get an LLC, and I can tell you why they don't recommend them, and I know both of these companies. They are both IRA custodians or third-party administrators, and the problem is if your IRA opens an LLC and you do business in the LLC, even if your IRA owns it, that means the money's in the LLC, which reduces their fees to a minimal amount. That is the only reason I am sure that they don't recommend you do an LLC. It costs them money because if your money's not sitting in their IRA account, then they can't charge you the larger fees. Either one of these companies, they're both great companies, and you'll need one of them or another one like them if you're going to do deals in your IRA, but there is no problem with your IRA forming an LLC.
Okay, next from Daniel Ringwet from South Dakota.
Hey, Daniel.
When you were giving a...
How come the only people who are asking questions are the ones up in the frozen tundra?
They're
Daniel,
stuck inside on their computers, that's why.
I got to do a Facebook Live about my garden. Daniel, I got tomatoes down here that high already. Sorry.
Nobody's preventing them from coming down here, Ron. So.
That's correct. They don't have to live there, do they?
No.
All right.
Okay, when you've given up an example, a house example in a past lesson on a home for $250,000 and the owner owed $230,000.
Right.
You would sell it lease option with $15,000 to $20,000 down.
Correct.
Question is that money being put down coming off the principal balance of the loan you
comes off the down payment, Daniel. Anytime somebody gives you a non-refundable option deposit, it comes off the down payment, which actually makes it come off the principal, yes. It's not a fee, it's not even an expense. It's just an advanced down payment. We call it a non-refundable option deposit. And no, you do not have to put it in an escrow account. No, you do not have to give it back. No, you don't need a license to collect the deposit. It's your money the day you get it. And no, you don't have to bring the money to closing when you close. The closing agent will just deduct the amount of money they need to bring by the $15,000 that the buyer's given you.
Okay, next is from Scott Taeb from California.
Scott?
What's been your experience with Section 8 government subsidized housing tenants?
Oh, I've had a lot of it, Scott.
Since the rent can be slightly higher than market rents, would you consider them if you were not selling your property with a lease option or owner financing?
Well, Scott, if it's a single-family house, that's not a very good question, because there's no way I'd put a lease option tenant in it unless it was a lease option tenant buyer. To me, straight renting a house makes absolutely no sense. None. By the way, there's a time when I had 200 Section 8 HUD tenants all at the same time. I used to have dark hair prior to that. But when I put a tenant in a house, that means I got to do the repairs. When I put a tenant buyer in the house, it means I don't do the repairs, and I collect several $1,000s on a non-refundable deposit from my tenant buyer, which you cannot do with a Section 8 HUD tenant. And I have no government entity to deal with to collect my check. So you tell me, I'll give you a minute. Which one do you think is best?
Okay, another question from Scott. Do you typically wait for the entire rehab to be completed before you put a property on the market, or do you usually start marketing it once the interior work has been completed?
Oh, excuse me. Well, there was a time when I'd put them on the market before they were completed when I was selling them, but I can tell you that any realtor that sells houses will tell you to wait till it's absolutely, totally finished and in gorgeous condition, because that first few days when they put that house on the market is when they're going to get the most heat to that house. So I'd wait till it's done and ready to show. And I mean everything done that you're going to do to it.
Okay, from Tom Hoying from Virginia.
Hey, Tom.
Can you make money with pretty houses and put them into a cover deal, or is it only for wholesaling and axe deals? Cover deals cannot assume debt, or is that the Roth IRA? I'm confused.
Well, you're confusing me. All right. First of all, the cover deal is COVERDELL. That's a IRA for a child under the age of 18 that will pay all of the expenses of their education from birth to age 30. I teach my folks to do a deal or two in the cover deal using a $100 deposit, turning it into a $20,000 or $30,000 gain, which all goes into the cover deal IRA. And there sits the money to pay all those expenses so that the parent doesn't have to spend years writing checks for the college education. Now, a cover deal can do anything that your regular Roth can, but some of those will be taxable. For example, if the cover deal or the Roth buys a property with debt or creates debt on the property, it's subject to UBIT, which is unrelated business income tax. However, that still means the rest of it remains in those accounts tax-free or tax-deferred in the case of a cover deal. So still better to do them inside than outside. So if you do them inside and they're taxable, yeah, you got to pay the taxes. But if you do them outside, you got to pay the same taxes, so I'd still do them inside. Now, there's a lot of deals that are not subject to UBIT, as you mentioned, and that's the wholesale and the rehabs and the axe deals, and any deal that doesn't come along with debt. A lease option is a good deal to do in a UBIT because there is no debt on a lease option. All the money goes in the account tax-free. And you can go on any third-party administrator site like questira.com and pull down all the rules and read them for yourself.
Okay.
That was a good question, actually.
Okay. All right, Ron, we got another question from Daniel from South Dakota.
Daniel, South Dakota. I just get cold thinking about it.
Okay, after getting information on the house, is there a script to ask them to deed you the property or lease it? So far, I haven't been able to get past these questions.
Daniel, it's our property information sheet that I'm about to go through behind me. Go to Ron LeGrand /FSBO, FSBO. Ron LeGrand /FSBO. Please tell me you know how to spell LeGrand now. If you don't, look me up. And you'll find the property information sheet. You'll find a whole seminar on how to fill it out. And the property information sheet is a script in effect because it has blanks for you to ask the seller the question so you can fill them in. One of those is, will you sell a house for what you owe? When that question is applicable. And one of them is a lease option, and one of them, will you take your payments, your equity in monthly installments. Those are asked right on the property information sheet. And then we have scripts to call them back after those questions are filled out, assuming you're not the one talking to the seller in the beginning. If you are, then you take the same scripts and you ask the terms questions, which we're going to get to here in a minute, that were not asked on these sheets that were submitted to me today, to determine what the seller will do with terms and what's on their mind and if they truly understand what terms are. Now those scripts can be had on our Gold Club site. If you're a Gold Club member, they're under resources. And if you're not a Gold Club member, it would be a good time to be one, all of you watching today, because it is the best bargain in real estate there is. For $59 a month with no long-term contract, you get on the membership site, all my forms and agreements are there. There must be at least 200 hours worth of live training on there in 10 and 15 minute segments on about any subject you can possibly think of. So the tools of the trade are there. The relationship with us is there. Q&A is there. You can ask questions. I mean, it's just endless of the benefits of the Gold Club site. In fact, every day we feed you for sale by owner leads at no extra charge. I mean, literally come right into your inbox for $59 a month. So go to ronsgoldclub.com and get signed up for that if you're not. And then if you do, all of my forms and agreements are right there for you. All right, did that answer the question?
I think
or did I get
so.
off on a tangent?
Nope, I think you did great.
I do that sometimes.
Okay, next is from Bruce Harlan from Kansas.
Hey, Bruce.
As a seasoned real estate agent, I recently joined Keller Williams after 5 years out of the market. My last 9 months as a quick start trained investor have been frustrating. I discovered my local Kansas City, Johnson County market is nuts.
You mean hot?
Yes, he does mean hot. Hot nuts. Okay. Multiple offers below $400,000.
I'm not touching that, Debbie.
I'm glad. We're going to keep going. And tight inventory.
Right.
FSBOs are selling in a week or two. Listing goes in hours sometimes.
Stop. Bruce, I'm sure Kansas City is the only hot market right now because I'm sure there aren't any in the rest of the country, except Jacksonville and every place else I go. Everywhere I go, it's a hot market. So what? Everywhere I go, there are people who will still sell to you on terms. And in fact, our virtual assistant department calls 25,000 people for our students every month, and we're still at about 30% of all those people say yes to terms. Come on. Out of that 30%, there's a smaller percent that will actually do terms. We do them right here in my office. We do them everywhere we go around the country, and in fact, everywhere is a hot market today. So Bruce, you're hanging around the realtor mindset too much, man. You need to get back into class. You can come for free, and bring some leads. Bring some leads from Kansas City and bring them to us, and we'll show you how to turn them into actual deals. Quit using the hot market as an excuse. And by the way, think of what it's like when you do get terms, how easy it is to sell them in your hot market. You get to raise the price, and literally they're going to be standing in line to give you big old deposits. So we just adapt with the market. I've been through 5 cycles. In my 35 years, and there's not been a single year I couldn't buy plenty of houses, whether the market was up, down, sideways, interest rates up, down, hot market, slow market, or whoever was president or whoever they was sleeping with. Made no difference. There's always people who need to sell houses, and some of them are going to take terms. And then there's the other side of the market where we actually are still buying houses, all cash, at deeply discounted prices, and we go into some of the hottest markets in the country. So think more about what you can do to succeed and less about why you're looking for an excuse not to. Ask yourself this: is there anybody else in Kansas City making any money in real estate? And the answer is yes. Then, okay, what are they doing that you're not? Come back, spend 4 days with me, let's get back in the saddle.
Great. All right, Ron, that's all we have this week from our Gold Club members.
Okay, well, I'm going to get off of that podium. All right, I'm going to go up here for a minute. If you'll follow me with that there, camera. Back. Nick's going to come around here. We're going to take a look at these property information sheets, all of them totally incomplete, of course, and let's do the best we can with them. So look, note 1. If you're going to send these things in, the next time I do this, you fill out the property information sheet, but guys, if you don't go get the scripts out and ask the seller what kind of terms they will take, and all you got to do is read the scripts, then all of these are going to be incomplete and inconclusive. because I have no idea what the seller will do unless they're asking. That means you got to ask them. Those scripts, let me give you an idea of what they say. First of all, what's the least you could take for your property? Seller answers. Then you say, is that the best you can do? Then you say, may I assume you will sell with nothing down? And they're either going to say yes or no. You're going to be shocked how many times they're going to say yes. And if they say no, well, what's the least you could take down? And the last question is, well, what's the lowest you could take for a monthly payment? That's the most important script of all of them that you're going to get. And if that were asked on these, then I'd have some kind of a basis to doing business here. But they weren't. So I'm just going to go over the pros and cons of what I see. And then you guys that sent these need to go and follow up and fill in this little block here. You want to focus on that? This little block right here where it's asking for the down payment and the monthly payment and the term. That's up to you to fill out. If you're calling back, if our virtual assistant sends you this, and it looks like some of them have, then you got to call back and get that box filled out using my scripts. If you're the one filling this out yourself, then you just follow through and ask this at the end of your line of questioning while you're filling out the script, what I just went through. So let's take a look at what we got here. Nick, if you can. Hold on, I'm going to put my glasses on. All right. This one is from California, and they're asking $219, and it's only worth $219 according to Joe here. And they said yes, they would take terms. So Joe, it looks like you got they're moving to Oregon, so that's good. And the property needs no work, so that's good. And the property's vacant. All of that is good, Joe. So I don't know how we turned this into a two-pager. We got a 1,350 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Now they're asking retail price, Joe, but you got to get this blank filled out. If you call the seller, they've already said yes, they would take payments. Now I need to know if they'll sell with nothing down, and then I need to know what their payment is because the house is free and clear here. That gives us a chance to negotiate a low payment. So let's just say I can get this thing down to, I don't know, at least $210. Frankly, I wouldn't touch it if I didn't get some discount, if in fact that is the true ARV, which I have not looked up. So if I'm paying anywhere near that, I'm simply going to put it under contract to either buy or lease purchase, put it out into the marketplace and collect $20,000 to $30,000 down on the same house, raise the price, because here's the goodies. When you get terms from sellers, you get to offer terms to buyers, and that gives you a reason to raise the price. And guys, that's true no matter what the commodity is. Anytime I can offer terms over cash, it's worth more on terms. So we make our money by raising that price, and the difference between what we give the seller, which we hope is nothing, and what we collect is what we keep right now. Now let's say I can get this seller down to about $1,200 a month payment. I would say that house would bring in at least $18,000, $17,000, $18,000, maybe $2,000 a month in California. So I also get to keep that monthly spread. Even though there's not much of a back end, I can get a nice front end and a nice monthly spread out of it. So I've got to go back, Joe, and fill in the blanks. Got to get the terms. All right, what we got over here is, looks like Nando from Stamford, Connecticut. We got one, the seller's asking $345. Their comps are $360, so it looks like the ARV is $360. That stands for after repaired value, or the current market value if it's in good shape. They owe $259 on it, but look at this. They got a $1,090 a month payment. And, well, it looks like it's not PITI, though, so if you add taxes and insurance on it, I really don't know what it's going to be. But it looks like there's plenty of room for a monthly spread there on a $360,000 house with only $1,100 payment on it. Now let's go down here, follow down here. The house needs no repairs, and it is occupied, probably will be occupied till you buy it. 3-bedroom, bath and a half, 1,800 square feet. And the owner wants to purchase something. I can't read it. So anyway, let's look at the math. The owner's asking $345, but if they said yes to a lease purchase. So here's, Nando, here's the question you need to ask them next when you call them back. I'm going to convert a lease purchase to an owner financing with one sentence. And that's, Mr. Seller, would you rather lease the house or would you rather sell it? They're almost always going to say, I'd rather sell it. Okay, good. If that's the case, then all we have to do is agree upon the terms, and because I'd rather buy it as long as you're willing to take a monthly payment until I can pay you off in cash. Easy conversion, and they'll almost always convert. So I'd rather write this up with owner financing, preferably with nothing down, at whatever their monthly payment is with taxes and insurance added. Let's call it $1,500, and then whatever term the seller will give me. So we got to ask them the term, the monthly, and the down, and the price, and before we can get the answers we need to fill in this block and decide whether we want to move forward or not. So, I mean, I know I went through that pretty fast, but you've got a seller here that wants close to retail price. They'll give you a little bit of equity, but I like the payment. And the fact that they said that they'll take a lease purchase means they want little or nothing down, because you just don't put up money when you do lease purchases like that. All right, let's move down to this one. See if they get any better. This is Fred from Raleigh. Fred's got an asking price of $190, but the ARV is $280. Now the downside, and he said he'd sell for what they owe, which is $190 at $1,700 a month, PITI. Problem is, this house needs some work. Noted down here, Fred says it needs $50,000 worth of work. Note down here, will sell for what she owes, but she wants the loan paid off. All right, Fred, listen to me. There is no way you can get her loan paid off right now. None. If in fact the only way she'll sell you this house is for her loan to get paid off, you're not buying it. If she will not give you terms, no deal. Because she owes way more on the house than I'd pay cash to pay off her loan. So you simply got to tell her, I'll get your loan paid off, but it's going to be a delayed closing. It's going to take me a while. I got to put somebody in the house that'll do the repairs and let them time to get a loan. So even though I can't pay it off today, it'll get paid off sometime in the future. And don't even think about telling her when in the future. All right, because you don't know. So here's the play. Said they'll sell it to you for what they owe. Says she will not sell it to you and let you just take over the debt. But I'll bet you she will sell it to you, Fred, if you do a wraparound mortgage. That means you can have your attorney do a wraparound mortgage, which is what you do in North Carolina, for the amount she owes. So you would owe her $190, she owes the bank $190, but that way she don't have to just deed it to you and walk away, which is a term we call subject to. If somebody just deeds you the house and walks away, you're buying the house subject to the underlying debt. So my play is very simple. I'd buy it for what she owes. I'd pay her closing cost. I'd tell her that I'd start making her payment 2 to 3 months after closing, which is normal. And then I'd just find somebody to put it in the house as is. I would not do, under no circumstances would I renovate this house, because she owes $190. And if it did need $50 in work, you know, that's too close. Be $240 in it. If it's worth $280, I don't know. It's probably something that I would consider, but it's still a little close for me. If I take over a $190 debt and I put $50 in it, I'd have it at $230. If it's truly worth $280 or more, I guess it might be worth doing. So actually, that makes math sense if I want to fix it and cash out of it, or if I just want to sell it as it is. Of course, I have a lot lower risk if I just sell it as it is with terms. So if I buy it with terms, I can sell it to somebody else. They give me a good sized deposit and put them in it as is and lower the price. If I got to pay $190, maybe I can get $210 out of it just like it is, which means all my buyer needs is a $20,000 down payment, and they can take over the same debt that I created. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I understand. I can barely figure it out myself. So give me a little bit of time so I'm not rushed, and I'll explain all that to you. But there's good money in that deal for sure. And in fact, I know this is a deal if the only problem is she wants that out of her name. Because think about this. There's nobody going to take that out of her name. Who's she going to sell the house to? She's not going to sell it to an owner-occupant that needs too much work. Bank won't even finance it. So there's nobody going to write a check and take that $280 out. They're just not going to do it. So the only choice she's got is selling this thing to an investor, because no owner-occupant is going to buy this thing in its present condition. So either she'll sell it to you for what she owes now on a wrap, or she'll sell it to you for what she owes later on a wrap. Either way, that's the only exit strategy on that house. All right, last one down here is Tim from Inman, South Carolina. Tim, you didn't give me your comps, so I took the trouble to look them up for you. I don't often do that. All of you listening, go to realestateabc.com. realestateabc.com, the easiest site you'll ever get to for comps. There are none easier, and it's free. House worth about $250. They're asking $225, but they owe $219. Now, Tim, that tells me they'll sell the house for what they owe, but they haven't been asked that. See, that should have been asked right there, and I'm almost positive they'll say yes, because they're only asking $5,000 more than what they owe right now. So if I can walk into this house, take over a debt of $219 at $1,541 a month, PITI, then I got a deal. Because I don't know if it needs any work because you didn't bother to fill in the blank down here, Tim, which is a no-no. You didn't tell me if it needs any work. You didn't tell me if it was listed. You didn't tell me if it was vacant or occupied. Tim, there's a very good reason I put these stars out here. That means need blanks filled in. So I'm going to be looking for you. Next time you submit me one and I get a blank one, I'm just going to set it aside and say, Tim did a no-no. Down here, 3-bedroom and 2,400 square feet. All good. So this is a good deal, Tim. Go get it. Go tell them you'll take over their debt and pay their closing costs. And if they say yes, you just get a contract, and that's exactly what you do. Worst case, you have to buy it on a wrap in South Carolina. Your attorney will create the doc, but you just need to be able to fill out a contract stating that you'll buy it for the amount that's owed on a wraparound mortgage. You will put nothing down. I mean, look, even if you had to give them the 5, this is still a good deal, assuming the house is in excellent condition, which you didn't tell me. If it is in excellent condition, and I had to walk in here and give them $5,000 for a house that I know is worth a minimum of $250 that I'm going to get terms on, I would probably strongly consider it, especially with 2,400 square feet in it. So I just turned that thing around. I put it on the market for at least $259,900. And on a house like that, I expect to get at least $20,000 to $25,000 non-refundable deposit. So even if I had 5 in it, I'm okay. I still get to keep the rest. And then I'm going to get me a nice monthly cash flow until my buyer cashes me out. All right, so that's the 4 that I got today. So I'm warning again, guys, in the future, please make sure you call the seller, use my script, and fill in the terms box. And then make sure you give me all the information down here. Most of you did. Tim is the only violator of this block here today. So Tim, you get the horse's butt award today, buddy. All right, next time, fill it out. All right, one more thing before I go. You know I went through that pretty fast. And frankly, if you're not in Planet Ron now and you haven't had any training, you probably don't have any idea what I just said. But I can tell you this, I can make money on every single one of these 4 leads that were sent to me. But yes, you do have to use my scripts. You know you have to be clear in your mind what you're going to do with the property when you get it. It doesn't take you long to learn that, but you should know this. In June, the last week of June, we got a big summit coming up in Las Vegas. And in fact, it's going to be June 27th, I think, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Is that correct? All right. And then we're going to spend 4 days in Vegas, and guess what we do a lot of that time? All of our mentors come and call all of these things for you, so you don't have to, and get the answers to fill in these boxes, so you don't have to. And by the time they're through, we either have a deal or we don't have a deal. And if we have a deal, then I review all of them on stage and tell you exactly what to do with them. And we help you write a contract right there on the spot and make an appointment for you, so when you get back home, we can take these things out and turn them into actual cash for you. I mean, we did over $3.5 million worth of these kind of deals in February in Daytona, and I don't know how many we screened, but I have a whole team of mentors making these calls for you. Here's the good part. Our virtual assistants will actually generate these leads for you, fill out the property information sheet, then call these sellers for you and make an appointment for our mentor to call them while you're at the event. So if you bring a handful of leads, there's a real good chance you're going to go home with deals that'll make you $20,000, $30,000. I don't know how much, but a lot of money. Again, about over $3 million worth of potential profit on the ones we negotiated in 4 short days at our last convention. So go right here, res2017.com/FBL. That stands for Facebook Live. So don't forget to put that in there so we'll know where you came from. You'll see a whole lot of other things about this. It's a very inexpensive event. It's and we got a special going on right now that's about to expire. We're about to raise the price. And you get a banquet and 2 Vegas stage shows, and it's endless. So come join us here. We'll notify you when we're ready to take more of these and when we do another question and answer session. And I hope this has been of benefit to you today. Thanks for watching.